This is Gary Fleck with Proven Learning. Proven Learning is the sole source for GradeCam in 8 states in the Southeast United States. Today, we're going to do some GradeCam training, primarily for school and district license users. This is the second of 3 videos in the training series. In the first video, we covered basic GradeCam use. In this second video, we'll talk about the operations that are available to you on the home page, including data sharing and report types. Then in the third video, we'll customize some questions and some assessments to match the types of assessments that you actually give in class. On my home page, when I log in, GradeCam always logs me into the Assignments page, the Assignments tab, where there's a list of assessments that I've created in the past. The first thing to know is that all of these columns are sortable in order to find the data that I need. So whether I'm looking by name, or if I want to sort them by average, or perhaps even by the date that I've created them, I can sort the columns. On each of the assignments, there are 2 places to click. The first is the assignment name itself. The second is the box next to it. But if I click on the assignment name itself, that opens up the assignment for me either to scan my students today, or perhaps tomorrow, open it up again for a student that might have missed today, or next year, so I can scan a whole new group of students in. Your assignments always follow your email address. Next to the name is a checkbox. And if I check the box next to an assignment on the home page, it opens up some additional options to me in this upper tray. So one more time, let me do that. Uncheck and check. And we're going to cover some of these operations. The first one is edit. Now on the home page, edit means the name. So if if instead of 1, 2, 3, this is supposed to be homework for chapter 5, I can change it. And there are options and places where you might want to change names. And if I save that, the name is changed for me. Again, with this box still checked, some of the other options are, first of all, the ability to export the data from that assessment into some forms that some other applications use. For instance, you can create an export that SchoolNet will read and drop the grades directly into SchoolNet. Next to export is the button that says Share. Now this is a key aspect of GradeCam, the ability to share data with my colleagues and with members of administration. When I have the assignment checkbox, I can choose to share that assessment and it becomes a common assessment. GradeCam aggregates the data as everybody scans in, with all the people who I've asked to share that assessment. That aggregated data is available in real time to whomever I've shared it with, whether it's with my teacher colleagues for PLC work, or perhaps for someone in administration who would like to see a benchmark. It works like this. I'm going to click on the Share button, and a dialog box opens up that has that name, the assignment name on it, and asks me, who do I want to share this assessment with? Well, I'm just going to start typing in the names of people who are in my licensing, either school or district. In my particular licensing, I have a Ms. Madison. So as I type in, her name shows up. So I'm going to share this homework for Chapter 5, this assessment with Ms. Madison. There are 3 different ways that Ms. Madison can use this assessment. I can choose Can Scan, in which case this assessment is being given to Ms. Madison for her to use for her students only. She cannot see the aggregate data. If I choose Scan and Reports, then Ms. Madison is able to see all of the aggregated data that's collected for this homework Chapter 5 assessment. If I click on View Reports, this is typically for administrators because they don't have students to scan in. They only want to see the data, and this makes the data available to them without clogging up their home page with too many assignments showing up. So for Miss Madison here, I'm going to choose Can Scan and add her to a list of people that I'm going to share this with. I can also create groups of people. This is a shortcut, a collection of email addresses, so I don't have to type lots of people in. So I, for instance, have a 5th grade math teachers group that I created. Now we want to use this assessment for our PLC so we can see all the data together. So I'm going to say Scan and Reports, so they can not only scan their students in, but also view all the reports. And I'm going to add them to the list. Now my administrator also wants to see this assessment, so I created actually a list, a group called the Admin Team. And these can all be created, these groups can be created by your GradeCam administrator. And since they don't have students to scan in, I'm just going to say Views Reports and add them. And so now everyone who I've added to this assignment, as soon as they open up their home page or refresh it, that assignment is there for them to be able to use. Either to be able to scan their students in, if they have students, or to view the reports as that data becomes available. Assessment sharing can go in any direction. And by that, I mean teachers can share with teachers, teachers can share with administrators, administrators can create assessments and share them with groups of teachers in order for that data to come back to them. So I've chosen to share this assessment with those teachers, and as the teachers scan in, that data is available in real time. Now we're going to take a moment and look at what the reports look like from a shared assessment. So again, from my home page, I'm going to click on Reports, and we'll cover this a little bit more in depth in a bit today. I'm going to go to an assignment, the shared assignment that I want to look at. I'll click on that and open that assessment up. And I'm first of all going to see my data because that's obviously important to me. I'm going to see how my students did. Under Reports, all my reports are listed on the left-hand side, the report types. So if I want to see perhaps my classes and how they did by my classes by question, here's my 2 classes and how they fared on this 10-question little quiz that we did. But because this is a shared assessment, I can choose to filter the data so I'm seeing not just my class, but every class that's taken this assessment. And now, side by side, I'm going to see all 7 classes that have taken this 10-question assessment and how we did by question. And there's those colors showing up again too that I customized. If I want to see those same classes by standard, here's those classes on divided by the 6 different standards that we buried inside that assessment, all available in real time. So what tends to happen is everything becomes a common assessment, from end of course to homework. So you can use virtually any one of those pieces for PLC work or to examine data back and forth, or as a benchmark if you choose. All of that data is instantly available. And that's the power of GradeCam sharing. Taking those assignments and choosing to share it with your colleagues as well as all of the aggregated data. Okay, we talked a little about editing or changing the name, exporting that data and sharing it. The data from this home page can also be downloaded as a spreadsheet or printed off as an HTML picture, a table. I also have some more options available to me under this More tab. So if I click on More, some of the options are, first of all, clone. I can create an exact duplicate of the assessment that I have on that I've checkboxed. Now let's say that you've created a 20-question assessment and you've scattered 6 different standards throughout that assessment, but you decide you want to do a pre-test and a post-test. Well, I can choose to clone that assessment, and that'll create an exact duplicate of the answer key so that I can scan students into that. So it starts off with that. So there's that homework chapter 5, but as a clone, I'm gonna call this post-test and save it, and that's going to open that assignment for me to be able to scan my students in. If I go back home, and again, the big orange G always takes me home. Here's the assignment. Here's the cloned assignment that we just created. There'll be other opportunities or other reasons for you to be able to do that. Okay, we're working across that top row. So the checkbox, More. Other than cloning, we also have available a student portal that allows you to take any assessment that you create, any answer key, and push that assessment out to any web-enabled device at any time of your choosing. So students can take that assessment not only on a web-enabled device, either at school or at home, but also on bubble sheets, even simultaneously. And GradeCam keeps all that data available. Now, the student portal is an additional add-on to GradeCam. If it's something that you're interested in, be happy to talk to you about that, and you're welcome to pilot that program as a part of your GradeCam experience before you actually choose it. It's an additional fee. Also under More is the ability to take that checkbox assessment and either archive it or trash it. Archive just gets it off my desktop, but the data is still available. Whereas trash gets rid of not only the assessment, but also the data associated with it. Both archived assessments and trashed assessments are still available to me on the left-hand side, where I can pull up archived assessments or trashed assessments, and trash is available for up to a year if you accidentally trash an assessment. At the bottom of this More drop-down is Manage Labels, and this is a filing system, a way to be able to organize your assessments. So this assessment that I have checkbox called Homework Chapter 5, if I click Manage Labels, allows me to add a label to that assessment so I can pull it up by that label. So if I want to either create a new label or add it to an existing label, I just choose which label I want to attach it to. Let's say I want to put it in my alligator file. And let's say I also want to put it in my math file. And those are showing up for me as part of that assessment. And I click Done. And now Homework Chapter 5 is in the alligator file and the math file. Under my filters on the left-hand side is a place to find my labels. So if I want to pull up all of my alligator assessments, I click on alligators, and I see all my alligator assessments. Or if I want to see all my math assessments, I can pull up my math assessments, and you self-define those labels. So if you want homework or benchmark, or if you want fun things that you've done, you're welcome to just label those and create the labels as needed. Back to my home page. So again, working across, we edited, export, shared, printed off this home page, and then cover the options in the More tab, the More drop-down. The next thing over to the right is Forms. Now, on the home page, this is a place to create generic forms. Forms that I can use multiple times, not for a specific assessment, which we will cover in the third video. So if I click on Forms, the box that opens up allows me to choose the class I want these forms for. Now again, because you're a school or district license, your rosters are imported for you. So that once your rosters are imported, you can choose which class you want to create a set of answer forms for. I'll click on that class. Again, I'm creating generic answer sheets. I know how many questions do I want it to be? So let me say 34. There are a couple other options that you can experiment with. And then I'm going to generate that form, and it's going to be available to me as a PDF, which I will download. And here is the forms I've downloaded, and I have one for each student in my class. Notice that, and here, so for 1 through 34 questions. Now, please note that this form, even though it has 34 questions on it, can be used for any assessment because it's a generic form, can be used for any assessment between 2 and 34 questions. It doesn't matter how many questions are on the student sheet. What matters is when you make the answer key, how many answers do you fill in? So if you make an answer key that's 1 through 10, that's all GradeCam will read. If you make an answer sheet that's 7 through 25, that's all GradeCam will read. It only reads the answers that you provide for it. Consequently, make a bubble sheet a little bit larger than what you do on your daily basis, and that's the one you would laminate and use over and over again, and that way you have that many bubbles available to you to be able to use in the classroom, and that many questions that you use on a regular basis. Back to GradeCam Go. Just chatted about printing. I'm going to close that. Across the top of my home page, there are 4 tabs. Again, the Assignments tab, and let me uncheck that. The Assignments tab is where I always land when I log on to GradeCam, and obviously has what we've just talked about. Your classes and your students are going to be managed from the imported data that's been imported for you. Not only imported, but also managed on a regular basis. So other than monitoring that your students are actually there, if there might be a problem, just to make sure your students are there, and there's some basic data for each of the students or classes, you really won't have much to do in those 2 tabs. The 4th tab is Reports. And Reports is where all of your historic aggregate data is held. So I'm going to click on Reports. And when I click on Reports, the left-hand side has all the report types that I have available to me. Each of these report types has an overview, so I can see all of the pieces, all of the elements of that particular topic. So an overview of students, or classes, or even schools. So if I want to see an overview of my schools, I can see all the schools, and it just shows me some basic data. If I go back to my assignments, and let's say I want to look at a particular assignment, I'll start at the overview, which lists all of the assignments, and I want to choose a specific assignment that I want to get data from. I'm going to click on that assessment. That assessment is going to show up in the upper left-hand corner of my GradeCam home page, my GradeCam page. I'm defining this report by that assessment. So now all of the reports that I'm going to create are all a function of that assessment that I've defined. So if I want to see, for instance, all of my classes by question, here are my 2 classes that took this assessment. If I want to dive even deeper into the data, I can click on one of those classes, and that class now shows up in the upper left-hand corner. So now all of my reports on the left-hand side have to do with this report that I've defined, this assessment divided by this class. And now if I want to, I can pull up information in different ways. So if I want to see all of the students and see how all the students did on that particular assessment, I can do that, or by standard, all available as a part of that assessment that I've created. You're going to end up wandering through the reports section of GradeCam. If you remember rule number 1, when we talked in the last video session, press the buttons and find out where they go. You're not going to hurt anything. So wander around and see what things do, and that'll give you an opportunity to see what type of reports work best for you in GradeCam. One of the options you also have is the ability to create favorites. So in this case, and this little star allows me to create a favorite. That's a favorite, and that'll show up under my favorites tab or topic. I'm going to go back home now. Okay, the home page again. We talked about assignments, classes, students, and reports tab. One more thing you'll want to know about the home page. Under your name is a place to choose your global settings for your account. If I click on settings, I have different topics that I can pull up in order to change the global settings. So if I want to create, if I need to change my email address, I can change the email address in my GradeCam account. If I want to change those colors for the performance bands, that's what I would do it. But the one thing you'll definitely want to do is change the state from which your standards come. And I do that here at standards. I'm going to choose, and obviously USA, unless you're out of the country. And you have the options of Philippines, Chile, and USA. And then choose your state. So you'll click on your state from the drop-down list. And this is a set it once and forget it thing. That'll follow. That's a global setting that'll follow your account. And then once I click done, that's going to define where all of my standards come from. Okay, that's part 2 of GradeCam training. In part 3, we're going to cover making some customized assessments in order to cover not only multiple choice questions, but also rubric-based questions and numeric response questions. I want to thank you for your time, and please feel free to email me at gary.fleck@provenlearning.com should you have any questions. I look forward to hearing from you and talk to you on the next video session. Thank you very much.